Of course, the Orioles hosting the Twins this week. That means we get to see an old friend and someone who is thriving. It's one of those weird moments where you see like your ex-girlfriend and she's doing really well, and you're like, oh, man. He is, of course, former Oriole, now Twins again reliever, Danny Coulombe, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Danny, it's Glenn. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Man, I appreciate you having me on, Glenn.
Dude, I like when you're in. I don't know this about you. How superstitious of a person are you?
It's hard not to be. I think there's such a fine line between like, routine and superstition.
Right.
So yeah, you kind of as a baseball player, it's pretty much impossible not to teeter that line. You hope not to be, but I would say I'm probably not as superstitious as most.
Okay. So when you are superstitious or even a little stitious, are you more superstitious in times like this when things are going absurdly well? And so like you have, or is it more like when you've gone through struggles in your career? What do I do to mix it up? How do I make things different?
Man, that's a good question. I wouldn't say it really changes much. You
Okay.
just try to attack every single day as like, it's the same day. I mean, baseball is Groundhog's Day. Every day is exactly the same. So you try to kind of approach it that way. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything different really.
Is there anything at all that like in over during this streak, which is just absurd? I mean, it's just nuts. Is there anything that you've done differently at all? Would you say I've done everything the exact same? The results have just been, even better than they were when, obviously things were good before that, but even better of late.
You know, I wouldn't say there's anything I'm doing different. You just try to. I mean, I have a pretty like structured, you know, schedule as far as routine, as far as
Okay.
what I do on a daily basis. I kind of know what I need to get ready to be able to pitch that night. So I wouldn't say there's really much anything I do differently.
All right. So what is this structure? Is it like what you eat? Is it when you go out to the bullpen? Like how many tosses you get in? Like what is structured on a particular day?
Yeah. So the first day of the series, I always lift before
Okay.
the game, and then the second day I have some other things I do, and then after I pitch, I always lift legs or upper body, and then as far as throwing program goes, I would say that is like I mean it's as a pitcher that's really the only time you get to practice. So that to me is like the only thing that like really truly I need to stick to every single day is just my throwing program. As far as like eating and whatever that is, like no, I there's no
Man.
rhyme or reason. There's not like I need to eat,
Yeah,
a
a
grilled
bowl of
cheese every single
cornflakes. Yeah,
day.
right. Something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
I was actually really rooting for that to be the case, to be honest with you,
No, no,
so that we can maybe
no.
have everybody else start doing the exact same thing. Uh,
Yeah, nothing like that.
Danny, can you like if we look back for a second, right? It's not as if you hadn't pitched well before you arrived in Baltimore, but obviously when you got to Baltimore, like it almost seemed like you were a different guy, and it was that much better and that much more dominant. Was that anything related to the Orioles and their program and what they were telling you, or do you feel like as your career was going, if you had stayed in Minnesota, wherever you would have been, you would have been able to find the same amount of success?
Yeah, so 2023 spring training was it was a difference maker for me because in 2023, I introduced like the little cutter slider I throw,
Yeah.
and it just really helped me just create some more leverage counts, get in better counts, and just another look for hitters. And so I mean, obviously these numbers are not really recorded, but that spring training, I think I threw like 13 or 14 innings, didn't allow runs. So I felt really good in 2023 spring, and when the Orioles claimed me, I really didn't have any idea how they were going to utilize me, but I think it was the first or second game that I was up there. It was in Boston in Fenway, and I was warming up in the eighth inning, up 2 runs, and they're like, "Hey, you have Devers." And for me, that was like, "Whoa, okay, they're going to throw me in the fire and see how it goes." And you really don't know how well you can pitch and leverage until you actually do it. And so, the Orioles gave me the opportunity to do that, and I'll forever be thankful for that. But that was really the first time in my career, like I really had that opportunity.
I mean, obviously it went from there. Like, what was the Devers moment the one where like you realized like, oh, I'm a different guy, or was there another moment where it like hit you where you said, I know I'm a major leaguer. You've been a major leaguer for a while at that
Mhm.
point, but things have changed for me a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was more of like, oh wow, like I'm gonna get an opportunity to pitch in some leverage here,
Yeah.
and they're gonna that Hyde and Elias, they do an amazing job of like putting guys in positions to succeed. So, they would put me in the part of the lineup that they thought I'd be good against, and that's what they did for 2 years. And they've just kind of continued that here in Minnesota. And a lot of conversations about like they would ask me like how did they handle it in Baltimore, and we talked a lot about it. So yeah, they have a great pitching development there and a great pitching department over there. Ryan Klemick and obviously Drew French and Mitch Possmeyer do an awesome job. So I'm forever thankful for those guys.
Now I was gonna say, what is it? We're chatting with Danny Coulombe, obviously Orioles Twins this week here in Baltimore. Danny, like when you think about that moment, right? Like what has it meant to you to find this level that you've been able to find over the last couple of years? Like, were you ever worried about like, hey, how long am I gonna last? Were you ever worried like, am I gonna be up at the end of the run? After maybe it ended in Minnesota, did you go through any of that? And what has it meant for you, your family, to be able to find this level to extend your career the way that you have?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, like I think baseball's been it's just been such an interesting ride for me specifically because, I was hurt all 4 years of college, and so I got drafted because I was good in high school, and when I got drafted, like I literally I played baseball as a resume booster. Like I want to do this so then it looks really good on a resume when I go apply for other jobs. So give this a few months. My girlfriend at the time, wife now, it was like, okay, yeah, do it, do your thing. And, 14 years later, it's just, I'm still going, and she reminds me of that every day. But no, honestly, it has just been an amazing ride. And I'm just, forever thankful for teams just keep giving me opportunities. And, I've always kind of said, I'm just trying to throw the ball over the plate. That's
Right.
all I'm really trying to do. I mean, that's a huge part of it. And so, yeah, I'm just going to keep trying to do that.
Yeah, you're pretty freaking good at it, man. So there's that.
Appreciate
Obviously,
that.
I know you talked about it last week when everybody was out there in Minnesota, right? Like,
Mhm.
when you say you were surprised, like I would assume that given where you are in your life, and like you mentioned being married, having kids, that
Mhm.
it probably came up at some point. Like did at any point last year you poke in and say, hey, kind of trying to get a feel for what my life is gonna look like next year. Was it you were completely caught off guard, or did you have a sense that like, hey, it was not certain that you were going to be staying in Baltimore?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the roster construction last year, we have a lot of left-handers and a lot of really good left-handers in Baltimore. I mean, Soto and CNO have electric stuff, and Aiken I think is one of the best left-handed relievers in the game. So I knew that like, you always know there's a chance of that. We were a little surprised. I thought maybe it would be a pick up an option, trade you
Right.
kind of thing. But honestly, I'm just really thankful for the way it has worked out because I've ended up with the Twins here, and I've just really enjoyed my time here.
Was that, like, I think I remember you referencing given the fact that you had been there before and your family was comfortable, was it almost to the point where, hey, once I became available, if the Twins call, that's where I want to be?
It really wasn't even that. It was really, when I started, receiving offers and started kind of like, uh, you know, me and my wife really were looking at these places, and the familiarity was a factor. I mean, the Twins turnover the last few years. I mean, when I walked in the clubhouse, I feel like I knew like almost everybody. Like the
Yeah.
coaching staff was essentially exactly the same, and so I really just enjoyed my time there, and they were the only team to give me a minor league deal in 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. So that's the only team that offered me a minor league deal. And so, you're obviously thankful for that. And just the comfortability there was a big factor.
It makes all the sense in the world. We are happy for you. I need you to know that we're happy for you, but it's an awkward happiness, as I'm sure you'd understand, because we miss you, man. We really, really miss
Well,
you.
I'll tell you this. We went to Jimmy's Famous Seafood last night,
Yeah,
and the guys there took care of us, got me a cake, and said, "Welcome
man,
home, Danny." I really
man.
appreciate that. So, honestly, me and my wife talked about it. We loved our time in Baltimore, and the fans are fantastic. So, I'm forever thankful
Yeah,
for it.
you picked a heck of a couple of years to be in Baltimore for what it's
Yeah.
worth. Decent years to be here. Did he, with that in mind,
Yeah.
like what happened last year, and I know it's not your problem, right? Like you're onto
Mhm.
different things, but did you have a sense for what maybe went wrong in the second half of last year that does seem to maybe still be impacting, from afar the Orioles at this point? Did you have a sense for? I know a lot's been made about these young guys that have never really dealt with like struggle before in their life, right? Like they've always been the best at all times, everything they've done. and it's like the first real adversity that they faced from a baseball standpoint. Did you get a sense for maybe what was going on and what it takes to maybe shake out of that a little bit?
I mean, there's so much talent on that team. I think the injuries have had a huge factor in that. The lineup is still one of the best in the league, and I think it's really just a matter of time until those guys turn around. I mean, like I saw y'all won 2 or 3 in Anaheim,
Yeah.
and I think that the talent is there. So I really don't know. I mean, just to be honest, I haven't really been keeping tabs on everything and the day to day there, but I've just seen the record. But I mean, the talent there does not reflect what the record there does not reflect the talent in that clubhouse. So I'm sure you guys will turn it around. Just wait 3 more days after you're done playing us.
Yeah, right. Now wait a second. Now wait a second. Obviously he wasn't around last year, but we've seen in the last couple of weeks like Felix Bautista look an awful lot like the 2023 version of Felix Bautista. When you saw that like for the first time up close and personal, like what did you make of it? Like how did you react to it? And
Yeah.
like is there anything it's just such a phenomenon to us every time he comes to the mound. Is there almost anything that you can compare to what it's like when Felix Bautista is in a baseball game?
It's pretty amazing to have a guy at the back end who just shortens the game. I mean, you get through 8, the game's essentially over. I would say that there's really only 2 guys that I've seen throw like up close in the bullpen where you're like, wow, and that was Bautista and actually Johan Duran. I mean, the way
Yeah, sure.
it's a different level of fastball. I'm so happy for Felix. He's such a great guy, and he's a good teammate. And I think the thing that impressed me the most was I was down in rehabbing with him in Florida for a few months last year, and just his work ethic. He's taking every day like seriously, and it's easy in Tommy John rehab. You're like, I got so much time that it's easy to kind of get complacent with your rehab, and I did not see any of that. He was taking every day seriously, and I'm just so happy for him and the success he's having.
You mentioned a second ago, like what Brandon and Mike. As you know, the baseball fans are fickle. You know how this goes, right? Like this
Mhm.
is the nature of it. And I'm not one of these guys, but I understand it. Can you explain like what your experience was like and what Brandon meant to this club as it was coming into the place that it did the last 2 years and finding how to win? Because I think it's interesting. When things go south, everybody wants to be negative and everybody wants to say, "Hey, this
Mhm.
guy." But what was the role that Brandon played for your teams over the last couple of years and helping the club get to the point that they did?
I think Brandon Hyde's a great manager. I really enjoy my time with him. We had some great conversations, and he would we'd talk every day, and that's not the same. That's not how it is generally. Like relievers, we stick more to the pitching coaches. We don't really talk a lot to the managers because the managers are more dealing with position players and stuff like that. But he would take the time out of his day to ask how things were going, and I always really appreciated playing for him. He's a great manager, and I think the guys there. I know that the guys. I know that the guys there really do enjoy playing for him. I think and obviously Mike's done a great job of assembling a lot of talent on that team. So, yeah, I mean, I think y'all will turn it around for sure.
All right, so I'm looking. I'm like one of the things that I was diving in on your numbers before we chatted. Like we're not surprised obviously by your dominance against lefties. The numbers against righties, like my God, man, like how how has this ended up being the case?
I feel like our catchers do a really good job here of what to call. And then it just turns into an execution game. If you know what to call and you execute it, like I like your chances, and just throwing stuff with conviction. Right? It's righties are, they're a different challenge a lot of times because they do handle breaking balls a lot of times.
Right.
So, you have to kind of figure out different ways, and you might have to do some stuff. Like I faced Adley the other day, and Adley is he's one of the best right-handed hitters in the game. He's much better at righty, and so I had to. He's caught me so many times. I was kind of thinking through like,
Oh, he
what do I
knows.
throw him
Right.
here?
Yeah.
I've thrown
Right.
him, and so I threw him a pitch that I don't think I've ever thrown in pro ball, which is a front hip two seam to a righty, and I got him. And it was kind of funny because like he looked at me like, what was that?
Right.
And so you have to sometimes you just got to make stuff up when you're facing really good hitters like that.
Man, that's cool. I mean, it wasn't cool for us, but like, it's cool. That chess match part of it is really cool. Like the idea that you're. Were you thinking about that before you came into the game? Like, are you doing that like mental math in the bullpen as you're thinking, hey, this is the spot that I'm going to end up being in, or is that all happening like as you're on the mound? You're like processing all of those thoughts.
Oh, it's all happening on the mound, like
Wow.
processing it, and you're like, okay, he's gonna think I'm gonna throw this, so I'm gonna throw this, but then he's gonna be thinking I'm gonna throw that, so I'm actually gonna throw this. It's kind of like it's so funny. It's
Man.
sometimes you can definitely overthink those things, so that's why it's not always my favorite facing guys. I know well,
Right.
like O'Hearn, of course, like after the games, like, oh, 1 for 1, like he's one of my best friends, all time teammate
He's
there.
awesome. What a great dude he is, man. I love that
Yes.
guy. He's actually
Yep.
he's definitely more superstitious than you are. Like there is no doubt about that. All right, well, wrap with this. Are you a Juicy Lucy guy? Right, like that's the only real like Minnesota food stuff I know is going to get a Juicy Lucy. Are you a fan? Have you been out? Like, do you have a favorite place to go for a Juicy Lucy?
Man, I am a Juicy Lucy guy. The only time I've ever had it though is at the field, so I can't tell you exactly
Okay.
where to go.
Okay.
But sometimes they'll import some Juicy Lucy's, and they're delicious.
Dude, it's hard to explain why it's like even better than just having a burger. Like it's so
No doubt.
you're just like this just hits the spot, man. This is what I needed in my life. Danny
No doubt.
Coulombe, dude, seriously, it's unbelievable watching what you're doing right now, man. Grateful for the time that you spent here in Baltimore and the opportunity to watch you pitch. And we'll be rooting for you other than this week. Like, you know how that goes. But so thankful for you taking the time for us this morning, man, and continued success and health for you and for your family, all right?
Appreciate you, Glenn. Appreciate you.